in order to suit him.
Oh.
It's Movie Time is produced and hosted by John DeSando. Listen to broadcast shows Friday at 4:01 and 8:01 p.m. Read reviews and listen to shows online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando,
And I'm Gary Hammond.
and this is It's Movie Time. Now, there's no other reason that I would have asked you other than that you are an attorney and you can tell me that our major player in this film, Fantasy Life, was a paralegal. What does that mean?
Well, I'm not clear whether he's a lawyer or a paralegal or a law clerk. He is in the basement of a law firm, apparently, and a woman comes in to have a serious talk with him, and he's being terminated. He was sent to the basement to alphabetize papers, and they're spread out on the desk, like the floor of his bedroom, I bet, but they're spread out on his desk in various piles, and so now he's unemployed and doing odd jobs.
Yeah, right. So he's dropped out of law school.
We think.
Yes, he is. He has. I think that's pretty much determined.
Well, he was on the law review at Harvard, and then he wasn't. So did he finish? I don't think so.
No.
And if he's a paralegal, your original question was, he would be providing strong support work with documents and things to attorneys on their cases and getting things organized for them. Alphabetizing them is something that rarely occurs in my experience.
Is this the kind of job you can actually make a living on? The paralegal?
Oh yeah, if you're a good paralegal, you can make a good living on.
Oh, okay.
If you're not, you get fired.
All right, the movie is Fantasy Life.
That's why you picked me? Okay, all right.
That's the only reason.
Okay, fine.
And Fantasy Life, and I'd like in a little bit, in a couple of minutes, to explore that title.
Okay.
Okay. So what's the conflict in this?
The conflict in this film is that he is a schlub, and he is functioning fittingly, or fitfully rather,
Right.
and he sees his psychiatrist, Judge Hirsch, and Judge Hirsch's wife is Judd Hirsch, sorry.
Yeah.
And his wife knows that her son and his wife have a babysitting problem,
Yeah.
and asked maybe if he could be a babysitter. And so this turns out to be a new career path for him.
Yeah, a manny, I like that term.
A manny, yes,
Right.
a manny.
So he's a manny, completely disqualified for that. I mean, unqualified for that, I would think.
Well, he's childlike.
Yeah, that works. But the better part of all this is that the wife is Amanda Peet, played by Amanda Peet.
Stunning.
One of my favorite middle-aged actresses, and I have an anecdote about that later on.
Okay.
About her, a personal one that I know. And we have the husband who is David, a rocker to be.
He's a fitful musician, and he gets a break when somebody gets sick in a band, and he subs for that ill person and ends up going on tour.
Yeah.
And which is a huge opportunity for David.
Yes.
And really, really empowers him.
Yeah, and played by Alessandro Nivola.
Yes.
And I always think he should be some kind of a very chic Italian, and he never is. He's just he looks like an American, and he's been in several motion pictures.
Well, when you go to Rome, there's a lot of Italians that look like Americans. That's because a lot of Italians immigrated to America.
That's true, including my grandparents,
Yeah.
and now and then when I go to Italy, I
Yeah.
go to northern Italy in particular. Okay, so we have then this very nebbish young guy, played by both the director, writer, and now this actor.
The star.
Yeah, he's the star, and he is Matthew Shear.
Yes.
And this is the first time, I think that's pretty bold for him to take on this role. Do you think he's successful?
He is successful, yeah. He's a great schlub. He's a great schlub. He's got anxiety. OCD is a form of anxiety. It's one of the recognized areas of anxiety. And he has anxiety attacks which play a pivotal role in demonstrating how desperate he is. And those around him are affected by that. He is very convincing.
No, there are times when I think he's way too much. He's way too introverted and lacking self-confidence, and you know, it's just really extreme.
Well, you're thinking that he's over the top, playing it over the top. I don't know what you're thinking, John. I'll suggest that it sounds like you're saying that he's over the top and he's not credible. And yet, if a person is suffering from anxiety and OCD and has been at Harvard Law School and is now a Manny, you would expect him to have a low self-image,
right,
and to be suffering tremendously. And he does suffer. And frankly, that was one of the things that was a little bit off-putting to me, because it was kind of painful to watch him going through these things, and the little successes that he had didn't seem to balance out for the steady decline, is what I'll say.
And I agree, and I guess I was just annoyed. I'm usually annoyed by introverts, and or at least I try.
Which is why we get along.
Exactly, yeah. But, and I'll try to bring them into extroversion, and it never works. And I'm pretty much the schlub when it comes to that. I'm just like, oh, because I can't understand how anybody could be introverted in this world. But there are plenty, and I have some people close to me who are that. But I think he plays that whoa as extreme.
It's a bravura performance, I think, of anxiety.
Yeah, you know, it's curious to me that the little girls that he's manning for just kind of disappear from this movie.
They're at key points, though. They really are there, and they're the straight through, because they're doing amazingly well. When you, in my view, when you consider that these three girls, all young, are doing very well with the parents they have and the man that they have.
Okay, yeah, all right. And I guess maybe I'm saying I would have liked to have seen a little more of the interaction that he had with them, because I think it was successful, eventually successful, it seems to me. And I just would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that. But I realize where the emphasis is. Well,
the emphasis is on the distress of the adults, not on the happiness of the children, as it often is.
Would you call it a romantic comedy? I'm trying to figure out what we'd call this.
There's longing, there's anxiety, there's...
now this we're talking between...
Diane, the mother of the girls, and the Manny.
Yeah.
And so David is the husband, and he's gone for most of the movie because he's off on his rock tour. So it's Sam, Matthew Shearer, and Amanda Peet that are thrust together. And I don't know if it's Martha's Vineyard or Nantucket, I'm not sure. Okay. So in any event, I was looking for signs on the boats, but I didn't see them. But anyway, so it's a very high-end thing. They live in a very nice apartment in New York City. And she has a very nice lifestyle. She also has a therapist. She also is a failed actress due to her own anxiety and her own lack of self-confidence. And she had a bravura opportunity in her youth, 15 years before, and she can't even do an audition tape now.
Yeah, she sometimes, and apparently this has happened to Amanda Peet, she's, somebody will go up to her and be effusive about how much they love her, and she'll find out they're thinking of another actress, which has happened to Pete. And Amanda Peet was involved in something with my daughter, and it's one of the reasons I kind of attached to her. My daughter had written a script called 8 to 8. It was a sequel to 9 to 5, and in which she dispatched Dabney Coleman immediately from the action. Anyway, so she called me one night from Las Vegas, where she was with Drew Barrymore. And Drew Barrymore had just bought the script for my daughter. And it was delayed because Amanda Peet was having a baby. So they delayed the production for that. And then Drew Barrymore was having, I think, something like maybe a miscarriage, so it was another year. So eventually, it never was produced. And it's very difficult to figure out whether it's true or not, because my daughter lives a life of fiction. She writes, and she's successful. She has 3 books and so on. But we begin to think that maybe she has a little bit going on upstairs that isn't real. And so I can't tell you for sure if that is a true story or not. In fact, I can't tell you that it's true that they paid her $500,000 for her script, and I can't tell you if it's true that they paid her over $100,000 for the delays. which would be a tribute to her, since they usually don't want writers around the set,
Yeah,
because they muck with their scripts so bad.
they change everything.
Yeah, right, so that works with the Amanda Pete story. Now, I think that the two of them clutched a bit. I think that there is a romance going on there. They seem to avoid the, well, anyway, she tells the family that they're having relations, and this is not something he's happy about, because they're not. But they have mixed it up just a bit, right, on the couch?
Well, yeah, they have, and there is, he's the one that's there for the 3 months that David is gone, and it is revealed that it really is a failed marriage, ultimately in the movie, and he confronts her, accusing her of being unfaithful to him, and so she says she was, and then everything explodes. It's a grand moment.
Yeah. All right, we have more to say, and our audience is going to need to go to WCBE.org, to the podcast experience, to Backtalk, if they want to hear more about Gary. Nobody wants to hear more about me, but they do want to hear from Gary. And I'll ask you then, Gary Hammond, what do you advise about fantasy life?
I didn't particularly like the movie. I'm actually impressed by Matthew Shear, because I did some research on him, because I was so unimpressed by the movie that I decided to look at this guy and figure out how in the world did he get the backing to write and, to direct, to have produced a movie that he wrote.
Yes.
Because he seems like such a schlub, and he is a very dynamic individual, and there'll be more about that on Backtalk, because he is very impressive, and I looked at him in a new light.
All right, fantasy life. And I'd like to start out our next segment in talking about the title.
Okay.